Tonight, a devastating combination of bad weather, downdraft, and loss of altitude caused the fatal crash of the Z9 Air Force helicopter on August 6, 2025, claiming 8 lives, including that of Defense Minister Omane Boamah and Environment Minister Murtala Mohammed.
Sadly, thereafter, the helicopter that was flying up without any change in its power or in the pitch which we use to go up and down, suddenly lost height and impacted a ridgeline at about 1370 feet above sea level. And this was about 6.5 miles from the destination, and this happened at 9:58.
We'll bring you details of the investigative committee's report, as some experts describe some of the recommendations as unrealistic.
Some of the recommendations are ideal recommendations, but they are not things you can more or less do, and they've all been exonerated. You can't exonerate the weather. Well, then we didn't have flight simulators, but how did you fly? How did you do it? If they recommend that we need a flight simulator for training, yes, but it is not mandatory.
We have details on top story, always brought to you by Telecel Connect and Energies, by Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil, Enjoy Holy Sleep, and also by Showed Pension Trust. Into the future with you. Now, the investigative committee that looked into the August 6th, 2025 military helicopter crash says the tragedy was caused by a sudden loss of altitude and lift after strong downward air current known as downdraft pushed the aircraft down. Speaking at a public briefing on the crash, which claimed 8 lives, including that of Defense Minister Dr. Omane Boamah and Environment Minister Dr. Murtala Mohammed, committee member and retired pilot Captain Paul Kojo said other contributing factors included bad weather, poor visibility, rising terrain, and the lack of ground-based navigational aids.
The flight to Boamah was uneventful. Boamah is approximately 90 miles from Accra, about 10 miles from Obuasi. As the flight approached Obuasi, visibility deteriorated rapidly due to mist and low clouds. At 9:56, the crew entered IMC, which is Instrument Meteorological Conditions. To the layman, it is they flew into clouds because they no longer could stay away from the clouds, so they flew into clouds and transitioned to IFR. Now, IFR is Instrument Flight Rules. So what it means is they now transitioned from navigating using visual cues to now navigation solely on the aircraft's instruments. Crew then initiated a climb to cross terrain that they were aware of. They initiated the climb to cross the terrain. Seconds before impact, the crew stated that they could see the high ground below, so they had gone over it. Suddenly thereafter, the helicopter that was flying up without any change in its power or in the pitch which we use to go up and down, suddenly lost height and impacted a ridgeline at about 1370 feet above sea level. And this was about 6.5 miles from the destination, and this happened at 9:58. The investigation determined that the accident was caused by the sudden loss of altitude and lift due to downdraft. This loss of altitude without change in power or pitch altitude is consistent with downdraft associated with changing environmental conditions over high terrain.
So that is a member of the committee. We'll be joined by Presidential Affairs Correspondent Maxwell Agbagba, who was at the briefing with more. Maxwell, the investigative committee says the helicopter was airworthy but lacked additional safety enhancement for flying, saving the weather phenomena over that terrain. Tell us more. We'll try and get Maxwell again, but you had there, where the member of that committee said the flight hit a ridge line at a point in time. We will be, getting more understanding into this. But again, when we understand the committee made it known that helicopter declared that they declared the helicopter as airworthy, but it lacked additional safety enhancement for flying safe in the weather phenomena over the terrain. Let's listen to the committee revealing this particular detail at this particular public hearing. But we have Maxwell Agbagba on the line. Maxwell, so we understand that the helicopter was airworthy, but there were some things that it lacked. Tell us more about that.
Well, right, so the investigators say the lack of certain critical safety systems, they have reduced the crew's awareness of their surroundings during the flight. Captain Kojo, who is a member of the investigative committee, confirmed that the helicopter had been properly inspected and cleared for takeoff. In fact, he says on the day of the crash, the aircraft was declared serviceable and signed off by the captain. He added that the flight data report indicated all helicopter systems were functioning normally up to the moment of the crash. However, despite being airworthy, we are told that the aircraft was missing several advanced safety features that could have helped the pilots better navigate the environment. Now, these included a terrain awareness and warning system, an advanced navigation with terrain mapping, and an automatic flight control system. We are told the terrain awareness and warning system used in aircraft to prevent crashes into terrain, and it provides warnings, to pilots when the aircraft is getting too close to the ground or obstacle. Now, Captain Kojo says having this equipment could have improved the situational awareness of the crew.
The helicopter was airworthy, but it lacked additional safety enhancements. For instance, the terrain awareness warning system. Now, the terrain awareness warning system, for instance, is predictive. So what it does is it warns you. It gives you a better picture of the situation and puts the pilots in puts them in a position to make better judgments, to be able to see everything and be able to foretell if there are any things that could possibly create a problem. But they lack the additional safety enhancements required for the weather phenomenon over that terrain. There was adverse weather. There was limited visibility. There was rising rugged terrain, with this terrain induced complicating factors, and there were no ground-based navigational route aids en route. In our findings also, we said there's limited national navigational capability for en route and remote area weather services. We also looked at training and realized that the Air Force doesn't have much simulator training. We looked at flight monitoring and realized that there was no flight data monitoring also taking place. For flight following and tracking of aircrafts, we realized that it was also not there. There's no secondary surveillance radar, no automatic dependent surveillance broadcasts, or any other real-time tracking of aircraft. The investigation would like to say that from everything they gathered, the emergency response was very timely. The fact that these first responders managed to get to the site in about 2 hours was remarkable because the terrain has very steep slopes. It was raining, it was slippery. So it wasn't the easiest thing to do. When we went to the site, it was also raining and it was very slippery. And we struggled using sticks and everything to try to get up there. So looking at everything, we would say very confidently that the emergency response was very timely.
Well, Maxwell, the investigative committee, we understand, has been making some recommendations. But even before we get there, we understand that, the committee said the aircraft had reached the time that they had to go for some maintenance works to have been done. But there was some application for an extension. What did they say? Okay, So we've lost Maxwell there. We'll bring in Maxwell later on. But the investigative committee has been making some recommendations, including that the fleet of the Ghana Air Force must be modernized. Listen.
Our safety recommendations. There is a definite need to modernize the fleet of the Ghana Air Force. We have recommended that the Air Force acquire modern aircraft with terrain avoidance warning systems and modern navigation systems. That the aircraft should have cockpit voice recorders and flight data recorders, which are the audiovisual capable types. That the Air Force should invest in simulators for recurrent training. That they contract certified aviation weather provider or providers, and that Ghana as a nation should try to have en route navigational aids, especially in remote areas. The Air Force should seriously consider establishing flight data monitoring and en route tracking systems. And finally, we believe that they need to acquire ground support equipment, modernize what they have. In conclusion, the helicopter accident was an unfortunate and sudden weather-related accident. Implementing the safety recommendations will prevent the reoccurrence of future accidents.
This is still top story brought to you by Telecel. Connecting energy is holy. Insecticide spray and coil enjoy holy sleep, and also by Shield Pension Trust into the future with you. Let me bring in Wing Commander Patrick Nelson Sogbodjor, retired Ghana Air Force officer, to help us with understand this. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here on Top Story. Now, I would want to find out from you. I'm sure you listened to the committee making their findings known plus their recommendations. First of all, you are an expert in this area. What do you make of all the findings the committee made plus their recommendations? Hello, Mr. Sogbodjor, do I have you? Hello, Commander, do I have you? Okay, so we'll be speaking to Wing Commander Patrick Nelson Sogbodjor, who is a retired Ghana Air Force officer, to help us with more clarification into this, more education rather, because we understand that the Air Force, the flight, according to the committee, lagged enhanced safety measures. When we say it lagged enhanced safety measures, why did that happen? Again, we understand that the flight had reached a place where it was supposed to, get to a point of for going for servicing, but there was application for it to be extended. Let's bring in Wing Commander Patrick Nelson Sogbodjor again. He joins us on the line. Wing Commander, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. I just want to find out from you your thoughts on the committee's report that they've made available to all of us.
I believe they have made a very comprehensive report, but there are certain aspects which I'm not too happy. But let's get to the major ones. The major ones are the airworthiness of the aircraft. The capability of the pilots who are in it have all been exonerated. Mm-hmm. Now, before an aircraft takes off from a base, you fire a flight plan. And in that flight plan, you indicate your height, your direction, and then control tower will come back and give you the authority after they've given you weather report to take off from point A to point B. So this aircraft took off from Accra and flew almost all the track, 6 minutes to landing, and they ran into weather. And helicopter is not like a fixed wing where you go higher. They fly not too high above the highest terrain on the ground. And it runs into a low or downdraft. It's seconds for them to make a decision. And since this thing happened in a heavy forest area, even finding somewhere to land the aircraft was virtually impossible because you can't land on trees. And you can't keep hanging in the air looking for where you are going. So I believe that this thing should be treated as an unfortunate accident and a pure accident. Because no pilot will take off wanting to go and die.
Okay.
And then the other aspect of talking about navigational aids and etc. Even United States, you don't have them scattered all over. Okay? And then the trip from Accra to Boise is not a regular flight navigation area. And these helicopters have been flying people, including your presidents, all over Ghana. So it's not that because of lack of those instruments that a pilot couldn't fly or go into bad with it. I hope you understand.
I do, but if they had the enhanced safety
features. As time changes, times are incorporated. I was trained in Italy in a link trainer. They're only to enhance, link or simulate, enhance your flying. But you have to go and do the actuals in the air. You understand me? And his elder brother was with me in the Air Force. They didn't use simulators. Now they have a simulator for the jet flying fighters. But when you're talking about simulator, are you buying simulators for the 4, 5, 6 different aircraft the Air Force has? No. You can't do it. You can buy a simple one which enhances airmanship and the rest of it. We are not in such an advanced situation that what they have now cannot work. The Air Force was inserted in 1959, and our safety record in the world is very high. We only suffered about 3 or 4 accidents like the one we are talking about.
But I just want to find out from you, if the aircraft had the enhanced safety features that the committee talks about.
Well, I'm talking about those enhanced features between Accra and Boise are not very important. From Accra to Boise, the only thing you have some cap out there. And then you indicate you have the topography of the area before you even leave Accra. And you will not fly into a tree or a mountain. It will not be approved by the control tower. So this is about, but the downdraft is weather which can happen in seconds. But unfortunately, because helicopters don't fly that high, it has a serious effect on them. You know, so this is a weather-generated accident, not the capability of the aircraft to fly from point A to B or the pilots to take the aircraft there. So if you get those ones, they will enhance. And also, let you know that airplanes are not talked about being old. Okay. It's the flying hours which are more important. So, for example, requesting for extension of time, the manufacturer will not allow you to fly beyond approved extension. They know without the extension, you are still within range. You understand me?
Okay.
Like a presidential aircraft. You got in check 5. Check 1, 2, 3 could be done in Accra. But check 5 is mandatory that the plane should go back to the manufacturer. If anything happens, the manufacturer will be responsible. That's why you need to take it back to manufacturer because the eyes can't see. There's a corrosion in the tank or engine. But they have the gadgets to do it. You should fly the machine there. When they are satisfied and the machines are good as new, you fly it back. So once more, I say I'm happy that the pilots are generated, the aircraft is generated. Nobody has control over weather.
So if this is weather induced, going forward, is there anything we can do to ensure that pilots who fly these choppers are well equipped in terms of the weather within which they are going to fly?
Well, I believe you also heard that pilots are trained. We have white, yellow, and green. We have category of pilots. And before you put a pilot to fly a mission where there could be weather, you put the right pilot inside. Do you understand?
Yeah,
it's all weather. These choppers have been flying the night and the rest all over the country. It's unfortunate this accident happened. Are you with me?
I am with you, sir.
It's unfortunate. It's not that they were incapable of going through the storm. What he said, they were trying to gain height. And the lift wasn't happening. For the meantime, the weather is not waiting for you.
All right, I'll come back to you to pick your thought on recommendations going forward. But let me bring in Reverend John Ntimfojor. He's ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Reverend, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. This is the report that we've all been expecting. I mean, your thought on it and the way forward for the armed forces.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, good evening, Kojo. So Well, today we have had highlights of the reports presented to the presidency. We, the minority, are expecting to have the full report.
The call has been put on hold.
The benefit reviewing the full report and to be able to give our informed and comprehensive opinion on the report. But right at the outset, our posture as minority regarding the rather unfortunate August incident had been to approach the investigation not with the intention to point accusing fingers or to find someone to blame, but to draw useful lessons going forward to be able to ensure that we enhance our aviation safety and ensure that such an accident does not recur. So we have had the highlights of the report presented by the respected Captain Kojo. And so the committee will now sit with the leadership of the Ghana Armed Forces and the Ministry of Defense, when we'll be seized with a full report and we'll have a comprehensive study, and then we would state our position. But at the moment, our expectation is that the government will have to take a position. This is a committee's findings. They will have to take a position on the findings that have been presented to them, and then state a position going forward.
What position?
When they state their position on the recommendations contained in the report, then we as a minority will also engage the conversation going forward.
But what position are you expecting government to take on this? The recommendations have been given.
Naturally, as a government, you have mandated a committee to undertake an investigation. And so when the committee completes their work and presents their report, some decisions have to be taken by government. And so we are waiting for the decisions that the government will take on the report as has been presented by the committee. We want to know the view and the position of the government. They need to take that decision. And then we will come in to offer our view. And again, at the preliminary and at the highlights, what the country knows is that the committee is suggesting that the accident may have been caused by factors including adverse weather conditions and the fact that some enhanced avionic safety features lacking in that aircraft, if were present, may have suggested a different outcome. One thing they rule out is that the competence of the personnel on board, the crew on board, the pilots, were not in doubt. Those factors has been our position right from the beginning as a minority, that our pilots, our soldiers, are some of the most competent we have in the world, and that it would be highly surprising on our part if any investigation points otherwise or suggests otherwise. Okay. So that was ruled out. But the other factors that remain, the weather, the aircraft. And so those are the conversations that going forward, when we are seized with the full report, we will state our views. But at the moment, we are waiting on the position of the government on this report. And we'll carry on with the conversation.
Reverend John Ntimfojor, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. He is ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Let me bring in Wing Commander Patrick Nelson Sogbodjor again. So, Commander, I mean, going forward, if you look at the recommendations, you say that, this is weather-induced. What would be your suggestion as to the way forward to ensure that when pilots are flying these choppers, something like this will not befall us again? Okay. I'm told that we've lost Wing Commander Patrick Nelson there, but you had Reverend John Ntimfojor earlier making the claim, making the point that they want to get government's position first before they can, but again, they want to be seized with the full details of the report before they can. Wing Commander is back with us online. So, Wing Commander, once you've educated us for us to understand that this is more of weather-induced, going forward, what would be your suggestion as to how we can get it right when the weather is not right or before the pilot fly the craft?
As for the pilot flying the aircraft, it's mandatory that he obeys instruction for the control tower. But when en route, weather changes, then it's for the pilot due to his training able to evict himself from that situation. But in any other way, an accident can happen. It's not due to the incapabilities of the pilot or the machine. Because the weather, nobody has control of weather. When you are buying an airplane, I'll say again, they don't manufacture airplanes for the military and the civil. They are the same, basic. Now you, the operator who wants to buy the airplane, will have to ask them what you need into the aircraft, and they will fit them, and it will be an extra cost.
But when you listen to the committee, they say that we don't have a live weather forecast for the pilot to really see ahead of him what is happening. Can't we correct that?
That is not true. That's certainly not true. I mean, the control tower will give you weather report, but between Accra and Obuasi, which station will give you repeated stations? Because when you are flying, there are stations and posts that you talk to. But a short distance between Accra and Obuasi, which gadget, who is going to talk to you? In aviation, Obuasi is under Kumasi. Do you understand it?
Yeah, I understand.
And this short trip, you will not have anybody talking to you about weather. If you're flying, let's say, from Accra to Boamah or to London, you are an instrument flying situation. And there are reporting stations where you report to them, then they give you weather. Okay? Or you can tune the space and then get it that way. But between local flights here, you know, I mean, when you take off from Kumasi, it's only Kumasi you can go. You go to Tamale, then Tamale will relay to Nyane, and Nyane will relay to Tamale. But you can't have the system, special flight of gadgets all over talking to. It's not possible.
But mustn't this teach us any lesson about how we can fix this? Or it's not, it's beyond fixing?
And I'm saying, how are you going to fix scattering visual aids and radio communication all over the country? It's not possible.
Okay.
I was training Italy, being in Brazil. I know the way it flies. There are those situations, but it's not possible.
So it means that anytime somebody...
The flight time between Accra and Obuasi, how many hours? And how many gadgets are you going to put on to try to look at the aircraft or talk to the aircraft? These are the ideal situations I'm telling them. They are all not applicable.
Which means that if anybody encounters a problem like that, there's no salvation, right?
From going from where to where?
I mean, let's use Accra or Boamah, and they get to a place where the weather gets bad. And then
this weather situation is not prevalent. Weather situation can change anywhere.
Yes, that's true.
And it changes without warning to you. You're sitting in your studio. Suddenly there could be thunderstorms. There could be lightning. 3 miles away from you is free. You know, so I'm saying let's get into this area as if somebody was not doing his job well. It's an accident, it happened. This is the 4th time the Air Force had lost an airplane, you know, and all of them have gone through the same process. Maybe this one because of the passengers in that aircraft. I'm sorry, they lost their lives.
I'm grateful.
Are you okay with me?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm grateful for joining us. Wing Commander Patrick Nelson Sogbodjor, retired Ghana Air Force officer. That has been top story for you. Brought to you by Telecel, Holding Insecticide Spray and Coil, and Shield Pension Trust. Up next is Newsnight.